Hello, I'm Andy from TruckChamp, and today we're going to install the bull bar. You see the bull bar here with all the parts, the brackets, the screws and washers. And because we're in California that requires a front license plate, we have to have a special bracket right here, which is sold separately, to mount the license plate to the front of the bull bar. The first step is to remove the factory installed tow hooks that not all vehicles have, but this vehicle happens to have them, so we need to remove these and get them out of the way. Off camera we pre-loosened the nut, and then now it's ready for by hand, so I'm going to loosen the nut by hand. There we go. So this bolt we should be able to remove. Here we go. This bolt's easily coming out once we have the nut off. Now we're going to remove this vertical bolt from the tow hook. I've already pre-loosened it. And this should allow us to remove the tow hook completely. And there, I got that bolt out. And now the tow hook should be able to come right out. There she's coming. There. Okay, now we're going to remove the tow hook from the other side. The same as before, we have a vertical and a horizontal bolt. And we've already pre-loosened it. There we go. We got the horizontal nut off. Took the horizontal bolt out. There we go. Now we're cooking. This side is a little more difficult. There we go. I held it up straight. Okay, we got both the tow hooks out. Now we're ready to install the brackets for the bull bar. We're going to do the first step of the bracket installation. You take this bolt plate which has the bolt soldered to it. You stick it up in the hole of this frame. Now we got to get the bracket in. Make sure you have the right bracket, and the nose of this bracket has to point outward. Stick this bracket up like this. Put on an M12 flat washer. Make sure you don't pop the bolt out. Then an M12 locking washer, and then an M12 nut. We're going to hand tighten this. Don't tighten it too hard because we're going to have to adjust this bracket here in a minute. So there we go, it's hand tightened. We're going to stick the bolt up through the frame of the vehicle into the front hole and down. Notice I have a washer already in there. Then I'm going to take a regular M12 flat washer and M12 locking washer, hold the bolt in place and the washer's in place. Then I have an M12 nut I'm going to stick on the end here. We're going to hand tighten this. Okay, it's hand tightened. So we have the passenger side bracket mounted to the frame with hand tightened nuts, and we'll come back later and fully tighten those. Now we're going to move on to the driver's side. Facing forward to the front of the vehicle, kind of shimmy it in there. Slip this over the bolt. The nose of this bracket has to point outward. Put an M12 flat washer on the bolt, locking washer, and then an M12 nut, which I have in my other hand here. Don't tighten it too hard because we're going to have to adjust it. And tighten, and we're going to take another M12 regular bolt and down through the hole slip the M12 flat washer on, the M12 locking washer, and then the M12 nut. There we go, hand tightened. So now we're ready for the next step. We're going to install the bull bar to the brackets. So we're going to articulate this part of the bull bar leg with the bracket we installed earlier, and we're going to just match up the holes. Okay, so we'll take the M10 bolts, put an M10 washer on it, and slip it through both the bracket we installed earlier and the leg of the bull bar. There we go. A flat washer, a locking washer, and a nut. That's going to go in each of these bolts. And on the front bolt, a flat washer and a locking washer. And then we get the M10 nuts to hand tighten those in so we can get the other side locked in. There we go. There's one nut. And the second nut. And again, only hand tighten these until we can adjust the other side and get the other nuts and bolts in there. Okay, now we're going to go to the passenger side. And lastly, we put on the M10 nuts. We have our bull bar mounted onto the brackets. Everything is only hand tightened, and you'll notice the bull bar is really quite loose. What we want to do is make our final adjustments and then tighten the bolts accordingly. And tighten. Now that we have the driver's side already completely tightened, we're going to tighten the passenger side. As you can see, we have the bull bar nice and straight against the bumper. It looks great. Everything's very tight below. And we have the optional license plate bracket that we pre-install, which has the license plate nice and straight on here. And if you have any questions, you can contact our customer service at TruckChamp. Thank you.